Hi guys, it's Steffi from the Novelty Corner and welcome back to my channel and welcome to another Books Beside My Bed video. For those of you who are new here, I film one of these every week where I wrap up the last 7 days worth of reading, and for those who are very familiar with the series, welcome back. This is my reading week from the 31st of May until the 6th of June. This week I read 8 stories in various forms, including picture books and novels. I read a total of 1,739 pages and my yearly reading total is up to 201 books. The first 2 books that I read this week are actually the second and third books in a series, and that is The Governor's Game and The Wallflower Wager by Tessa Dare. These are books 2 and 3 in the Girl Meets Duke series. They were both published by Avon Books in 2018 and 2019 respectively, and I gave them both 4 out of 5 stars. In The Governor's Game, we follow Alexandra Mountbatten, who is accidentally hired as a governess. She is actually someone who goes around and fixes clocks, but she finds herself hired to tame the 2 unruly wards of Chase Renard, who has inherited them along with their family home. He doesn't really know what to do with them. He keeps threatening to send them off to boarding school until Alexandra comes in, recognizes that the girls need lots of love, and sets about trying to reach their hearts and Chase's as well. This was really fun, very easy to read. Just a really great Sunday afternoon reading experience. In The Wallflower Wager, we follow Lady Penelope Campion, who is a self-professed animal lover. She rescues injured animals, takes them in, and has a veritable menagerie of her own until the very wealthy and slightly cranky Gabriel Duke moves in next door, fixing up a very old house and trying to sell it for more than its current worth. The only problem is that no one will buy the place with all of Lady Campion's animals next door, and so he tries to get her to get rid of them, and she says she'll get rid of them if he helps her find loving homes for all of them. Again, just a really nice, easy read. Then I read 3 picture books which I have for review, and pretty much in order of how they made me feel. One made me cry, one made me laugh, and one just blew my mind completely. The first book I'm going to mention is Tippy and Jellybean, The True Story of a Brave Koala Who Saved Her Baby from a Bushfire by Sophie Cunningham and illustrated by Anil Torpatop. This is coming out on the 16th of June. It's obviously a 2020 release from Albert Street Press, but it is imprint of Allen & Unwin, so thank you very much to Allen & Unwin for sending this to me for review. It was just beautiful. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. It basically, yeah, it had me ready to tear up because this is the story of Tippy and Jellybean, who are real koalas, but obviously this also happened to many, many other native Australian animals as well during the bushfire season. And at this time, Tippy, who is the mother koala, was looking after Jellybean, and then the bushfires happened and she climbed to the top of a tree and kept her baby safe, even though she ended up singed and injured. And the 2 of them ended up in a sanctuary and were cared for before being released back into the wild. And it is just a stunning story and a great way to teach kids about the impact of bushfires on wildlife. So highly recommend it. I will have a review on my blog for this around the release date as well. The book that made me laugh was Bad Cat by Nicola O'Byrne, and I knew it would just because of this gorgeous cover. This is a 2020 release. It came out on the 2nd of June from Nosy Crow, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It is hilarious. Thank you very much to Allen & Unwin for sending me a review copy of it. It is the story of Fluffykins, who looks cute, but who causes lots of mischief in his house until one day Fluffykins finds itself stuck outside as a consequence in the middle of the rain. I mean, how can you resist this face? It's all about a cat who does naughty things and needs to learn to say it's sorry, and it's just adorable. And the picture book that made me go wow was Who Am I by Philip Bunting. This is a 2020 release from Scholastic. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. This is all about what makes you you and what doesn't define you, which I think is just incredible. Every page begins with a question, am I the color of my skin, and then an explanation of why that's not the case. And then you have a gorgeous illustration to go along with it. Like, am I my bones? Am I my muscles? Am I my thoughts? All of these things that kids would wonder, well, like, what makes up being me? And it just goes through it in such beautiful simplicity for kids that it is just stunning. I have one other of Philip Bunting's books. I'm going to be trying to get anything else that he writes for kids, because I think this is just stunning and important, and it's a really great way to talk about these things with kids now as well. So yes, I gave this one 5 out of 5 stars. I just sort of sat there, read it, it blew my mind. I then had to contact one of my girlfriends at work who is another big picture book fan, and we were talking about it. It's just gorgeous. I also read Shuri by Nick Stone. This is a 2020 release from Scholastic. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. This was a review copy that was sent to me, so thank you very much to Scholastic. And I think I forgot to say Who Am I was also a review copy from Scholastic. Those of you who are familiar with the Marvel Cinematic Universe will know of Shuri. She is the sister of the Black Panther. And this book follows Shuri's story, but it is not the story of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because I was wondering that while I was reading it, and there were a lot of differences. So this is set about the time that T'Challa is about to take the throne, and it's leading up to the challenge scene that we actually see in the films, which is what I was picturing in my head. But Shuri has discovered that something is happening in Wakanda, and it threatens both her brother's life and potentially her own and that of her people. And so she sets off on an unsanctioned adventure and mission to try and find a cure for the disease that's spreading through a series of crops. What I wasn't expecting in this story was to have a bit of an X-Men crossover. I knew that there was ties between T'Challa and Aurora Monroe from the X-Men, but Aurora was in this story, which was a really nice nod to that. And it's really about Shuri finding her way and finding her confidence and being a very strong young woman. I think that younger fans of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and of the Marvel Comics will really love this story. The last 2 books I read were NetGalley arcs. The first one was Conventionally Yours by Annabeth Albert. This is a 2020 release from Sourcebooks Casablanca, and I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. I love Annabeth Albert's works. This one just felt a little bit different to the others, and it is because it's new adult rather than adult. It follows Conrad and Alden, who are 2 young guys in their early 20s who have been playing this tabletop RPG game Odyssey for years. They've been part of a group that is being filmed for a vlog documentary. Both of them have very different playing styles, and they think the other person basically hates them. By going to the convention, they can compete in a tournament for which the winner will win a monetary prize, but also be able to go on tour and play the game around the country, which is something they both really want for very different reasons. Conrad is broke and he needs money desperately. He loves the game and he wants to do something with it, but he also is quite practical. He needs the money from the win. And Alden needs to just find something to do with his life that he's passionate about. He is being driven by his parents to go into medicine, but he is not convinced that that is the path for him. They're offered tickets to this convention, and in order to get there they have to go on a road trip, and they have to decide whether or not that the convention is worth it if they're going to be stuck with each other for 5 days on the road while heading to Las Vegas. It is an enemies to lovers male-male romance that takes place over a road trip and fan convention, as they both learn to understand the other person and their differences and why perhaps they have not gotten along in the past. There is a lot of need for them to be cognizant of different personalities and different life situations. And it was a good story. I mean, it's not my favourite of Annabeth Albert's work, but it was definitely a good story. And I think if you are a fan of tabletop gaming, then you'll probably enjoy this. I have never really been involved in it, so I don't understand it all that much, but I understand that people do love it. So it's well worth checking out if that's your thing. And the final book that I read was A Duke, the Lady and a Baby by Vanessa Riley. This is book 1 in the Rakes and Remarkable Women series. It is a 2020 release from Kensington Books, and I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. It is a historical romance, and we follow Patience Jordan, who is a West Indian heiress who married an Englishman. And at the beginning of the book we find out that her husband has committed suicide, leaving her with a newborn infant, and her husband's uncle, who quickly has her committed to Bedlam, which is an asylum, because she's crazed. And as it turns out, that her son is worth an inheritance, and her husband and his uncle had racked up a whole series of debt, which is possibly the reason for his suicide. At the beginning of the book we find out that Patience has been retrieved from Bedlam by a shrewd countess who helps young widows in need and is helping to find a way for Patience to regain custody of her son Lionel. As such, Patience finds herself working as the wet nurse and maid for the new guardian of her son, the Duke of Reppington, and she quickly discovers that he's not quite who he seems either. He's a war veteran who has been injured in the war. He's an amputee, and he is a reformed rake who is very, very determined to care for his new ward and to see that the uncle who caused so much grief is brought to justice. So it's a historical romance with a bit of a crime mystery element woven into it. I did enjoy it. It was my first time reading Vanessa Riley, so I'm looking forward to reading some of her other work as well and to see where this Rakes and Remarkable Women series goes. So stay tuned. So those are the books that I read this week. In the comments below, let me know if you have read any of these books or if you're planning to read them in the future. I hope that wherever you are in the world, you are doing really well and staying safe, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye guys.